Industry Insider coming to you from Fuji Rock 2013, and joining me is probably one of my saviors from last night, Chris Musto. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah. Maybe better than you. I don't know.
Absolutely. That was an interesting night last night.
Yeah,
to say the least.
it was. It certainly was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Thanks for looking after me.
That's
I appreciate
all right.
that.
That's all right.
How you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, very good.
How's
very good.
Fuji going for you?
Yeah, it's good. It's quite simple this year. You know, sometimes it's not quite so simple, but this year seems to be all right.
Really? And how so? Is it just organisation or weather and stuff like that?
Yeah, all things like that, really. Yeah. This year's gone. You know, as it's progressed, you know, it's refined and things have just become a little bit more straightforward year to year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, tell us what you're here, in what capacity you're here for, because I found your story really interesting, and I think a lot of people will as well. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, this year, I mean, from year to year, I tend to have different roles.
Yeah.
I used to work on the Smash office in London, and I now part-time work with them, but I get involved in this year Festival Arts, which involved a lot of you know, making the site look pretty, things like that. I've been involved in booking acts and running various production sides of the festival, you know, as much as we can. So this year, and it goes back to me designing the logo for the festival back in 1997, you know, and it's kept on, you know, we kept it. So.
That's always good for a graphic designer to have a logo kept, right?
Yeah, it is. For that long, it shows that they haven't changed it. We've developed it. Every year I still get a little task of just
tweaking
it from year to year. Yeah.
What like for graphic designers out there in that regard? What sort of tweaking do you do to a logo that sort of stays the same but changes in different ways?
Good question. When I first started it, the logo was black and red. You know, it's basically the F and the J are in red and the U and the I are in black. Yeah. That was the first year. So the second year, I really honestly can't remember what I did, the colour shift. I think I might have turned what was black purple, and then what was black went blue. But I've always kept the red.
Yeah.
So that is the stable throughout. So I shift the others around a little bit, you know. Obviously there's only a sort of limited colour palette eventually.
Yeah.
So you start just doing tweaks on what you've already done, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I've added depth to it, texture to it. I'm waiting until it gets to 25, and then I got a serious one.
Gold plated.
Well, it is actually. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Diamond plated.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about your music career? Because you have an extensive music career as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
As a drummer.
Yeah, I mean, I started getting involved. I started playing drums when I was 12, but when punk scene came along, that kind of transformed me really, and I sort of, you know, just became part of the, you know, things became easier to actually get in a band and do stuff and get out. And you know, when I first started playing, you know, if you weren't in a band like Santana or the Grateful Dead or something, you were in trouble, you know. Mm-hmm. And so we started, you know, I started playing a lot from about 1976 onwards. And 77 I worked as I lived in Berlin, and I was playing drums in a transvestite show in Berlin for 6 months.
Yeah, right.
I came back to England, auditioned with The Clash. I was one of their famous 200 auditionees, but I got 2 auditions. Ended up meeting the guys and staying friendly with them really ever since. Mm-hmm. And ended up working with Joe. I did the Sid and Nancy film soundtrack with Joe, just so you know, and worked with people like Nico from the Velvet Underground, and then I ended up with Johnny Thunders for 4.5 years up until he died, and that's how my really initiation to Japan was.
Yeah.
When I came over here with Johnny on tour, I ended up meeting Smash, who promote Fuji Rock, and we remain pretty friends ever since. Yeah. You know.
And you also, I believe, or I remember last night you said you wrote a couple of other soundtracks, or you made some other soundtracks as well?
I've worked on quite a lot of film stuff,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know, sort of, various incidental musics and things like that, yeah, I have done.
And so where does life take you from Fuji Rock 2013 and forward? What are you doing right now?
Good question. I'm not quite sure. I'm working on a new project musically. I've got 2 projects in London. I got a group called the Bermondsey Joyriders, which consists of 3 old punks basically. But we got a bit of history between us, and we're fortunate that the fact that we're still able to get out there and be active and play, and people actually respect us for not only what we've done, but what we are doing at this present. Yeah. Working on a new record. The last record got really well received press-wise, so we can kind of develop that really and try and capitalise on that, move forward. Rock, Slade, blues kind of, thing. So it's a.
Yeah, you were saying you do the tartan thing as well. Right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it is. It's. Some people say to us, "Oh, why are you wearing all that Rupert Beer outfits?" So because it's stylistic. It does have a style to it. It always has, and it is. It's because you go and see groups. I mean, why do you want to go and see a group wearing anoraks? You can't be rock and roll if you're wearing like anoraks on stage or something like that. Come on, you got a stage. Go up on stage. It's one thing I learned with Johnny when I was playing with Johnny. It was like, you go on stage looking great. You look your best, know. Yeah. And it's harder when you get older. When you're young and you're thin and you look it's great. But it's trying to give a sense of glamour while you're on stage. It's really important. Look better than the audience for a start. Yeah. And that's sometimes a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's sometimes a challenge.
Yeah, it really is. I remember the first time we came to Japan. We were like, we're rock and roll. We had all the gear came, and the audience was like, crikey, they look fantastic. Let's get some style tips out of the audience.
Yeah. Oh, well, the Japanese do it very well.
They do, yeah.
That opening show today, the Route 17 Rock and Roll Walk, I've never seen a bigger crowd for an opening audience at a festival. Ever.
No,
amazing.
It was really, really strong, wasn't it? We had a good time. We went and sat at the mixing desk and watched it. And,
did you see the YMCA?
Yeah, it was really hilarious. I couldn't believe that the Japanese had taken on YMCA like that. And it was like, it's almost like a natural movement. It's like, even if people hadn't, studied what you have to do with all this kind of thing, and you go, well, where did they learn that from? Brilliant, wasn't it?
It was just amazing. Yeah. There was such a good vibe at 12 o'clock today when it kicked off. Usually people are warming into it. How many do you think were there? 20,000?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Such a big crowd for the start of the day.
It was really good, yeah. And the drummer's an old friend of mine from that and he was really quite made up by the whole thing, I tell you. He was stunned by it as well.
Really?
Yeah, he was, It was, but it was a good show. And there was one of the singers I really liked. He was the blonde haired guy with the red jacket. And he sang some kind of like pop song.
He was
and the audience was.
It
was really good. Really, really knocked me out. And it's,
definitely like to see them again.
I think it's the best slot of the whole festival. Well, opening up, it's everyone's wanting to see something and start it off and get involved.
You've got to bring your A game when you do that, though.
You really do.
After I've seen it here, you absolutely have to bring your A game.
You really do, I'd rather open up than close it.
Well, you got more time to go out and hang out if you play early, right?
I know, exactly.
Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Speaking of going and hanging out, let's go do that, shall we?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, where can everybody go and find your records, find dates for your band touring and stuff like that? If they want to go and check stuff out?
I mean, in the contemporary form, really. It's either Facebook or our website, really. The Bermondsey Joyriders.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with London, Bermondsey is an area of southeast London, and which was taken out by all the property developers and turned into a posh area, and it was a working area. It was docks, and so we decided that had to reflect the name and in the culture of the area and the culture of the group. It's all one. So we're that's it really. Bermondsey Joyriders. Website, I can't remember. It's probably.
We'll find it and put it up on the screen.
Exactly, that would be great, wouldn't it? And the Facebook is there. Come and say hello, and then you find out what we're doing. Because I can't ever remember what we're meant to be doing.
Well, you know what? Most of the time I can't either. That's why I bring this camera with me. The whole world of trouble.
It documented it all for you.
All right, Chris. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Let's go get a beer, shall we?
Yeah, good move.
All right, Chris, joining me here from Fuji Rock 2013 for Industry Insider.